Alright, so today's video, we're gonna feed this little baby swan to them leeches. Alright, I'm just kidding. We're gonna be feeding it this beef bone. This yummy, juicy red beef bone. First, we're gonna do a little leech bending. And after that, they're ready to get fed. So we just dump it on the beef bone. And look how they move around like crazy. I mean, they must be really excited because they covered it in no time. For the baby swan, I cooked them at, brought it back to the Fish and Wildlife. Yeah. A couple of hours later, the leeches ate it pretty good. And the beef bone looks pretty dried out of blood. But there's still some redness in it. That's because we fed it to them frozen. But the leeches got fat and ate pretty good. I guess that's how it goes. So yeah. Alright, so you're probably wondering, what kind of food do we feed these guys on a regular basis? And I'm going to answer that. We feed it beef kidney. And inside this freezer is probably around 5 to 6 tons of beef kidneys. And you're also probably wondering, do we feed the leeches inside the tanks? And the answer is no. Leeches poop and it can build up ammonia in the tanks, which can kill them. We have special ponds where you can actually feed them in there. And inside this pond, there's about 2 to 3 million leeches. And you're also probably wondering, is that one kidney enough to feed those 2 or 3 million leeches? Of course not, but look at this. Socks and sandals are the best. But it actually takes 1 full box of beef kidney to feed that many for a whole week. So yeah. Alright, so most of you guys wonder, what are the process of shipping out leeches? Well, I'm gonna show you. First step is to get these leeches out of the tank and into them buckets. And from then on, we have to dump it in this little table strainer to get the water off the leeches. And get them a little bit dry. And yeah, a lot of water goes down. After that, we just scoop it into a bucket and then we weigh them. And it has to be weighted precisely. And after that, we just put it in a bag and keep it in a cooler to keep it a little bit more insulated. Because you want them cool and healthy. Then after that, we just ship it to God knows where. Maybe it might reach your table. Okay, so let's do something new today. Like, we fed it raw stuff, but have we ever done something frozen before? So I went to my freezer and grabbed this frozen pork liver. Yum. And now we gotta do a little bit of leech bending to get that leeches ready. And I guess it's time to put this frozen pork liver in there for 1 hour. And gosh, that was slimy. So while we wait, let's fry out some good burgers. And don't worry, the bunny's still alive for now. 1 hour later, it looks like they're kind of done feeding. So I reached in there to look for it, and God, it was super slimy. And when I found it, it was half eaten, as the other side was still full of blood. And I'm pretty sure the leeches weren't done eating, because this guy won't get off of me. No matter how many times I shook him off, he won't. So yeah. Okay, just for fun, I'm gonna feed these leeches pork heart once again. And you know, it's always fun to see the slimy little gross things eat. So I'm gonna leave it there for at least 3 hours, and look, they're already eating it up. And what's the best way to waste 3 hours of playing prank with this rip-off Walmart version of Jason Momoa? Yeah. So 3 hours later, and guess what we found? This little dangerous diamondback leech. I didn't expect to find it here, but the heart itself was super pale. And the leech has even made its way through inside of it. So I had some fun trying to squeeze them out, and look how satisfying that is. I mean, look at it. And as you're probably wondering why the diamondback is so dangerous, it's because they sting you and release a little bit of poison. Not only do they do that, they actually inject babies into you too. So if you happen to get stung by it, go to the hospital. Alright, so today I want to see which leeches are more aggressive when they're super hungry. And these leeches haven't been fed for almost 3 days now. And to test out their hungriness, we're going to need something. And that something is this duck head. Alright, for the sensitive people, you can leave now. And for the first duck head, we're going to leave it inside these big leeches. And for the other duck head, we're going to leave it for the small leeches to eat. And we're going to leave it there for 30 minutes. So while we wait, I'm going to go cook this bunny for lunch. Yum. 30 minutes later, the big leeches look like they want to get out. And look how plump they are. But for the smaller leeches, they don't look like they even touched the duck head at all. So that one's kind of disappointing. But the results for the big leeches was kind of fun and gross at the same time, as they were everywhere on that thing. Even one leech was eating its eyes out. Pretty gross. So yeah. Since we're all about that weird stuff, I just want to show you guys this full tank of leeches. Okay, so I wanted to feed this little weird shrimp, like, I don't know what's wrong with it. It has horns and whatever this is, to them leeches. We're going to be feeding it to this full fishbowl of bloodsuckers. I mean, look at that. It's delicious. Like, yum. So let's not waste any time. Let's put it in there for 30 minutes. And while we wait, let's just give some little bit of attention to Winter, because, you know, she's cute and looking delicious. So 30 minutes later, they were everywhere on that thing. I mean, like, everywhere. They were underneath its gill, and some of them just hanging onto it. Like, there's no blood to suck on it, so let's just make it a great place to hang out. Look how gooey the claw got. So yeah. Alright, so today I was like, what should we feed these little leeches? I mean, we already fed it a bunch of things. Then it came to me, we haven't fed it ribs. And I know a lot of you guys like ribs. So I did a little bit of leech bending magic and slapped that meat in there and leave it there for an hour. Oh boy, my hand was slimy. So while we wait, I decided to feed my little sister this little brownie, but she didn't want it. So I was like, the dog might want it. Yeah. Anyways, 1 hour later, and they started climbing off the side of the bucket. And the ribs itself was pale. I mean, all the blood was sucked out of it. And I was actually satisfied with the results, and the leeches got fat. And I guess the ribs wasn't enough, so they had to suck on me too. Alright, back with that nasty stuff. At this point, we already fed these leeches as pretty much of anything we could think of. But now let's get creative. How about feeding them this frozen big thick steak? At first, we're gonna have to do these leech bending to get them ready for this big fat juicy steak. Yum. Look how satisfying that is. Then we let it sit there for 6 hours, and yeah, I work with those on. And 6 hours later, you know these leeches fed well when these white stuff starts forming on top of them. And I wasn't disappointed one bit because this juicy steak turned pale and dry with no more blood left. But we can't let it go to waste. But for the leeches, they look like they fed pretty well because they look like these nasty gummy worms straight from the nightmares. So yeah. Alright, in this video, let's do something bigger. I mean, big. Like a whole big chicken. I mean, personally, I like chicken. I'm pretty sure the leeches like chicken too. Then we gotta do that leech bending to get them leeches ready. Then we toss our chicken in there, push it in, and let it sit there for 2 hours. And while we wait, let's eat some oyster. I mean, put some squeezed lemon in it, and yum. I mean, it might have the same texture as a leech. So 2 hours later, and bam. The leeches was everywhere on that thing, and even made its way inside. I'm pretty sure some of the leeches made it inside its skin too. And it makes me wonder, what if I left this there for 2 days? Whoa, I bet you the results would be yummy. I mean, disgusting. Let's feed it something more exotic today. Like, I know these little leeches are pretty hungry. So I decided to feed them this little tiny eel. I mean, these little leeches are pretty aggressive. So I wanted to find out how the leeches would treat this little baby eel. First we leech bend, then we put this little tiny delicious eel in there. Yum. And all we do next is let it sit there for 30 minutes. I mean, look how delicious that looked. So 30 minutes later, I messed up recording it and couldn't catch the time I spilled the leeches, but the leeches was everywhere on that thing. They were inside of it. And somehow leeches love eyes. Like, they're always latching onto the eyes. Maybe next time we should feed the leeches eyes. Alright, so you already know that this isn't gonna turn out well. But you know, we gotta try it out anyways. So I got this little bag full of little tiny mini crabs. Yum. We gotta do our little smooth leech bending. You know what comes next. We gotta toss this crab and let it sit there for 30 minutes. And boy, that was slimy. And you're probably wondering, is this my hair? Heck no, it's not. It's a little, I don't know. That looks nasty. But this one looks pretty cool, doesn't it? So 30 minutes later, and leeches was everywhere on that crab. I mean, it has no blood, but they still want to stick on it, and I kind of dropped it here. When I came to pick it up, there's leeches inside of it. I don't know how they made it in there, but them leeches didn't feed, so they tried to go on me instead. Alright, so we did pork liver before, but have we ever done pork kidney? And you know what comes next, and we're gonna feed these guys to these little nasty bloodsuckers. Yeah, Blue doesn't like them. So here's 1, 2, 3 little kidneys, and look how satisfying that looks. All we gotta do is let it sit there for 2 hours. So while we wait, we gotta make some delicious bunny soup. 2 hours later, and you know they're done when they start climbing off. But I think 2 hours is a little bit too late, because when I pull them up, there's no leeches sticking to them, except for the last kidney. As one leech won't let go no matter what, because I think he's kind of stuck. But when I got him out, he looks like he fed pretty good. So, okay, so what kind of crazy thing are we up to today? And you know what? Let's take it to another level. Have you ever tried pork ears? And maybe this time, let's use this humongous 7-inch bloodsuckers. I know, it looks good, but chill. So we gotta do that little leech bending, then we'll let this pork ear sit for 2 hours. And while we wait, let's talk to the rip-off version of Jason Momoa. And yeah, he got sucked on by a diamondback, but he's good. So 3 hours later, I didn't even have to reach in there that deep because the pork ear was poking out and I just had to pull it out like this. And oh man, like, I couldn't imagine these guys sucking on my ear. And it looks like the leeches were pretty invested into it. So I put it back and let them enjoy their snack. It seems like the bloodiest beef that we fed them are livers. So I decided to go to the store and buy this delicious bison liver. Because you know these blood-sucking leeches love liver. So first we gotta do that little leech bending to prepare our little leeches. Then we slowly put this delicious bison liver in there. Then press it down. I mean, look how satisfying that is. And then we leave it there for 2 hours. So while we wait, let's feed this common snapping turtle this chunk of liver. Don't worry, I'll explain why I have him. So 2 hours later, the leeches were plump full as the liver turned pale. Not even a single drop of blood left in it. But some of the leeches don't even want to let go of it. Don't know why, but oh well. Okay, so we fed leeches, but have you ever tried catching them? So let's switch things up and let's try to catch some leeches. For the bait, we're going to be using glizzy and ham. So which one do you think is going to do the best? For me, I'm thinking ham's going to do the best. So let's set it in this pond that's filled with 2 million little leeches. And let them both sit there for a whole entire 2 hours. So while we wait, let's just appreciate this bunny, because it's so beautiful and delicious. And 2 hours later, the ham didn't catch anything but a handful of leeches. So I just tossed them back in there. But the glizzy was filled. I mean, there's probably a pound of leeches in there. I did not expect a little tiny hot dog to get this much little leeches. So if you guessed it right, give yourself a good hug and see you next time.